Second official.
Yeah, second official,
Yeah.
and we're good to go.
Excellent. Thank you, Olivia. Good morning, everyone. I'm calling this meeting to order at 10:52 a.m. and we're getting a lot of feedback. Lovely. My name is Tyler Richards Hughes, and I'm the Vice Chair of the City of San Diego's Commission for Arts and Culture and Chair of the Commission's Policy and Funding Committee. We're going to do a quick roll call to confirm committee member attendance. When I call your name, please say present. I know that Dr. Alberto Pulido is unable to attend. Commissioner Keith Opstead.
Present.
Thank you. Commissioner Kamal Martin.
Present.
Commissioner Leanne Kim.
Present.
Commissioner Abe Hughes is also unable to attend. Thank you all for being here, and your attendance has been noted. We're going to now move on to non-agenda public comment. The public was invited to submit public comment on agenda and non-agenda items via web form accessible through the agenda and the city's website. Members of the public may also join this meeting in person and as webinar attendees. If members of the public have submitted comments in writing via the web form, Department of Cultural Affairs staff will read aloud public comments submitted per city public comment protocol. I'm going to ask Olivia to read aloud any non-agenda public comment or call on any attendees who would like to provide comment. Olivia?
No non-agenda public comment was submitted and no members from the public are present.
Wonderful, thank you very much. Moving right along. All right, moving on to the chair's report. There is currently no new business to share, but did want to get onto the approval of the meeting minutes. Hope everyone had an opportunity to review the minutes from our December meeting. Would anyone like to make a motion to approve?
I'll move.
Thank you, Commissioner Kim. Is there a second?
Second.
Thank you, Commissioner Martin. We have a first and a second. Is there any discussion? Seeing none. Oh, yep.
I just
Sorry.
wanted to thank Abe Hughes for stepping up in your absence.
Yes, and again, my thanks to everyone for covering while I was stuck and unable to get here because of coming back from Romania. We have first and second. I will call everyone's name, and please respond out loud with yay, nay, or abstain. And remember that you do not need to have been present or have had the chair present at the meeting to vote or discuss. Commissioner Keith Opstead.
Yay.
Commissioner Kamal Martin.
Yay.
Commissioner Leanne Kim.
Yay.
And my vote is also a yay. Thank you all, and thank you to Abe for chairing that meeting. All right, there are no other reports pending in the chair's report. Olivia, moving right along, we have the slate of commission advisory panelist candidates to evaluate. These are the proposed candidates submitted in response to fiscal year 2026 Organizational Support Program, OSP, and Creative Communities San Diego applications, part 2. So I'd like to call on Olivia to present the staff report and slate of commission advisory panelists candidates to evaluate those proposals.
Hello, everyone. So inside your packets, you'll see that you have my staff report that I'm about to share right now. And just behind it, you'll see the slate of commission advisory panelist candidates that we are proposing. And so it's the staff recommendation that we advise the City of San Diego Commission for Arts and Culture to recommend the slate of commission advisory panelist candidates to evaluate proposals submitted in response to the fiscal year 2026 OSP and CCSD application part 2. Just for some background, according to the Commission's rules and regulations, the Commission may establish advisory panels to augment the work of the committees, to support the goals of the Commission, to provide opportunities for community members to participate in the city's processes, and to utilize the input and feedback of panelists in the funding processes. When a commission advisory panel is to be established, the commission will recommend members of advisory panels after reviewing a slate of candidates presented by the city's Department of Cultural Affairs staff. Panelists from FY21 through FY25 approved candidate pool may also be called upon to serve in the FY26 panels. This report includes approved candidates who applied for the FY21 through FY25 candidate pool. And staff no longer anticipate retiring panelists from the approved pool after 3 years, just to ensure that there is diversity of candidates. And so we want to make sure that we could draw from them for panel assignment needs, which change from year to year depending on the proposals submitted in response to OSP and CCSD application part 2. To prepare the slate of proposed commission advisory panelist candidates, the staff drew from a pool of nominees obtained through an open call for self-nominations and third-party nominations, a review of the individuals who have previously served on the commission committees or panels, and a review of individuals who have field expertise in nonprofit management, artistic disciplines, philanthropy, or community engagement. These nominees have been pre-screened just to prevent conflicts of interest. For next steps, following this policy and funding committee's recommendation of the slate will then go to the commission for recommendation. Staff will then coordinate panel assignments considering availability, panel size, conflict of interest, and a balanced representation of council district areas, skill sets, areas of expertise, prior history serving as a panelist, and more. To this end, some recommended candidates may not be assigned to a panel, and some panelists may be assigned the role of understudy to assist if other panelists drop out, and some will not serve on a panel this year, but they will remain in the approved pool for future consideration without the need to reapply. The staff may also assign individuals from the FY21 through FY25 approved candidate pool to an FY26 panel. If expertise gaps emerge during the panel assignment process, staff may augment with individuals with the required qualifications. This strategy will ensure the panels are well equipped to evaluate the proposals thoroughly and effectively.
Well, thank you very much. I hope everyone has had an opportunity to review the recommended panelists. Would anyone like to make a motion to approve the panel as presented?
I move to approve the panel as presented.
Thank you. We have a first. Do we have a second?
I'll second that motion.
Thank you. We have a first and a second. And any discussion? Commissioner Kim.
Thank you so much for putting together this this panel of how many, over 100 people. It's a lot of work. I took a little bit of time to go through the panelists, and really wonderful to see those locally, those nationally, maybe some internationally who had worked internationally. What I didn't see was, given knowing how many media arts organizations do apply for OSP and CCSD, I didn't see many media arts organizations, if at all, or filmmakers or film producers. And so I just wanted to make sure, or just acknowledge that for me, it's important that we make sure that various disciplines are represented. Because I personally, for example, sat on the panel for the NEA 2 times. They specifically sought me out because they needed somebody in the media arts film festival community. And because there's very specific nuances to every discipline. So I just wanted to mention that, and I'm not sure if there's a way that we can specifically, if we don't have the applications, if we can recruit in that field.
Absolutely, and we're also thinking in that world of if there's any gaps for folks who are moving on to part 2. So it also just depends on who's going to be moving on, where some folks who applied to part 1 are eligible to renew, so they won't have to submit part 2 this year. And so we're taking all of those folks, figuring out the different pieces, and then we'll be able to recruit based on folks that we've collaborated with, folks that you've collaborated with or know of, to fill any of those gaps. So that's going to be really helpful for us, and also maybe potentially doing another public call if needed.
And just to clarify, when you mean those who are in part 1 or part 2,
Yes.
Part 2 meaning it's kind of like a quick application for them versus a longer application that needs to be read in detail?
Yes, so for folks who submit part one, they have the option to select if they would like to renew their previous score for returning panelists.
I see.
So rather than going to panel, if they fit all of those eligibility requirements, they can skip that for a certain number of years consecutively. The folks who do have to go to part two, that is that slightly longer application, and they will be subject to panel adjudication. And so that way we can just ensure that if there's any major changes in a program, any major changes in finances, or of course, any new folks or folks who've expired out of that renew category, we're able to see what work that they're doing and evaluate their proposals properly.
How do you track, I'm sorry,
Yeah.
how do you track the different disciplines of both the panelists as well as the applicants?
Yeah, so in the application, we have folks self-select their disciplines of what either their project is or what their organization primarily focuses on. And so that's how we manage that for the folks who apply to each funding category. As for panelists, they also submit an application process in order to be considered to be added to the pool. When they do that, they submit their bio, they submit information as to why they're looking to be a part of the panelist. They also select out of the different categories that we typically see, which ones they have expertise in, so that we could filter and see which areas we have and which areas we might not have.
Okay, thank you so much.
Yeah.
Yes, Commissioner Ofsted.
I just wanted to thank you for putting this all together and the fact that there, I believe, were 136 approved. What I love is that there's a combination of 24 new, 24 new participants, as well as the remaining volunteers. This is extensive, and the decision making is in very good hands.
One question I did have is actually spurred on by what Commissioner Kim asked. I'm just wondering if we ever go to the NEA and ask them for their list of panelists who may have, the kind of expertise that Leanne had mentioned. I don't know if that's ever been something that we've considered, and knowing that there's the potential for always needing more panelists might be helpful to tap those resources. I also just was having read through these and then thinking about what we were all talking about before the meeting began, is because there are a lot of people on here who are Los Angeles based, I'm a little worried about the impact of their availability. And if we maybe should consider expanding and adding in another call for the public, just in case there's been disruption and they're unavailable for the upcoming panels.
Well, I'll just say, I don't think we're in a position where we can do another public call just because of our schedule in terms of being ready. But keep in mind, these are like mid to late March. So, we'll certainly be able to connect with those folks and see if they're able to. They are virtual as well. So hopefully, hopefully we'll be in a better position than we are now with the LA folks to help with us. And then just in terms of your question about, staff reaches out to peers across the country, peer cities, peer local arts agencies, California Art Council, potential, people that have served in those panels, as well as NEA to help populate our list and to consider that. So you do see folks from many, many different local arts agencies across the country.
Great, thank you. All right, well, thank you for that briefing and for the discussion. We're now going to call the vote. I will call your name and please respond out loud with yay, nay, or abstain. Right, so Commissioner Keith Ofsted.
Yay.
Commissioner Kamal Martin.
Yay.
Commissioner Leanne Kim.
Yay.
And I am also a yay. Thank you. All right, I'm going to call on Chief of Civic Arts Strategy, Christine Jones, for the step. Christine.
All right, well, good morning. It's nice to see you all and Happy New Year. So, really quick updates for you all. Just as a reminder, I think all of you know that we're presenting to City Council Creative City on Monday at 2 o'clock. So if you're able to come, please join us for that presentation. And then in addition, we've been working on different briefings amongst council and, you know, we'll be briefing the entire council on Monday. And we anticipate positive outcome from that. And then as far as funding goes, I think really the only update we have really is that FY25, we are at about what, 95% in terms of organizations for OSP and CCSD that have received 85% of their awards. So that is a really great number to be at this point. And that means, again, majority of funds have been out the door. So just a few folks that were waiting, organizations that were waiting some information on to be able to finalize their contracts. And that concludes our comments.
Awesome. Thank you very much, Christine. And is that, do we see that the funding just moving out the door faster? Is that thanks to the new tracking program? And I'm sorry, I forget the name, but I want to say it's Zillow, but that's not it.
Plus.
Flux. Thank you. Thank you.
Very close.
I knew it was some sounding word. But have we found that Flux is really helping optimize the payment structure?
Yeah, I can speak a little bit to that. Definitely. I think we're able to move a larger group quicker. We're looking at being able to basically bulk pay the organizations rather than submitting one by one.
That's great.
Yeah.
That's fantastic. Well, thank you again for all the work that you've done, Gabrielle, on just getting that program up and running and coordinating with all the different departments, because that, I remember the days, you and I both know what it's like to try to get funding from the city back in the old days, and that's fantastic. That's really, really exciting. So congrats, that's wonderful to hear. All right, was there any public comment on the staff report?
No public comment was submitted.
Great, thank you very much. All right, moving right along to new business. Yes, Commissioner Ofsted.
So I felt this was a more appropriate place than under the action item that we just approved. Many years ago, as commissioners they were invited to participate in the process of reading the applications, whether it was CCSD, the Arts Education Initiative, all of those. In order to really understand the process, I know that we are no longer required to do that, but I think for transparency and understanding the process, I wanted to make, I don't know, either a motion or recommendation or whatever it is, you can enlighten me here, that all of the policy and funding members attend one of the panel reviews. And the goal of that is to really understand what our creatives go through. And I think that helps us to better also explain to our up and coming creatives, hey, what all is involved, time, money, do I need a grant writer, whatever. I think it would just help add to the transparency and also a better understanding. And because we're not allowed to vote, we would be like basically non-voting observers, but that would be able to understand the whole process.
That's a really interesting notion. Yeah, since we are as committee member or as members of the commission, excuse me, we're no longer allowed to sit on panels and vote because of the conflict of interest. There's been a bit of a drop off in just the education and experience. I know that I sat on those panels, you sat on those, you sat on them, you sat on them, but I don't think everybody on policy and funding has. And I think you and I are the only ones who have ever written the OSP. So it would be handy to have everybody go through that. And the nice thing is they're virtual. And we also get to say thank you to everybody for their service and just experience the process of going through and reviewing all the same materials that the panelists go through.
In March, did you say?
I love it. But what do you guys think?
I love it too. I'm sure things have changed since we've all been on the panel. The one thing I think about too is being a panelist, especially if you're a first time, it's really hard. Especially if you're not from the arts field and especially if you've never written grants before. I also I felt like in some ways when I was a panelist, I was helping bring others in because some people just didn't know how to read grants. And I would love to see if some of these some of the panelists, how they're reading the grants, how they're interpreting them, what they're looking at.
Mhm.
You know, we can look at those numbers on the budget and understand everything, you know? But if you're an artist, it's like, do you know what I'm saying? So I do think it's a great idea. Can we go back to why, I understand the conflict of interest, but I thought that if there was some organization, you can just, excuse yourself.
So the reason was that we, as members of the commission, we actually approve the funding numbers that are recommended by the panels.
Right.
So we would both be sitting on the panel that is reviewing, and then on the oversight body that is taking that information and putting that into practice. So from a best practice standpoint, that's where the conflict is. Because if Tyler sitting on a panel really hates one organization, or really thinks that one application was terrible, or thinks one application was amazing, then panelist Tyler only has so much influence. But Commissioner Tyler has way too much influence over getting that approved. So that's where the conflict comes from. So
Has there been history of that?
no, but we're avoiding that entirely. We're getting ahead
Yeah,
by
this
you.
is
being good.
kind of based on best practice in the field across the country.
Okay.
And I would share that I think there's a lot of value in you all taking on, like, in observing a panel and actually opening it up and greeting that panel and just saying a few words. I think there's a lot of value in that, because I think you'll see that they really have become very professionalized over the last few years, since we've kind of made some of these adjustments. So, we'll welcome your participation, and we can identify the dates and coordinate with your schedule once we kind of finalize the dates for the panels and what organizations will be going to which panel.
And the panels are like all day, right?
There's some that are like a half day, some that are a whole day. It really depends a lot in terms of the organization, in terms of disciplines and other factors that are considered in terms of actually putting the panels together.
I'm in favor of the whole idea as well, and I would also encourage us to see if we can extend it beyond our committee. And I think we should definitely model behavior, and, we're the first kind of wave.
Yeah.
And there's also a way of making it a part of like new commissioner orientation. So we can kind of bake it into the behaviors, people come on board, so they have that experience, and I think we've all experienced nuanced discussions that happen in committee. When we get to the full commission, someone's like, well, what about the this? What about the that? Well, if you had gone to the thing, you would be.
Come to the thing.
Yeah.
So I know March is really busy with that, but typically, how is it for this committee? Because could it be like in lieu of meeting that month is kind of where I was going with it. If it's a small or.
I think that we are, because, especially with Creative City, we're gonna be hopping. And so I would recommend that we don't skip a meeting, but that this just be an added, and I think I love the idea that this becomes part of the orientation, and that we encourage all our other commission members to participate in this. In terms of modeling the behavior, I wonder if maybe we should make it a requirement that we, as this committee, everybody is required to participate in it. And that we, at the next commission meeting, say, we are committing ourselves to this, and we are hoping that the rest of you will follow our lead and get involved in at least one panel. Yeah.
It's really informative. I gotta tell you, if we are voting and approving these things, we should understand the process, whether you're on this committee or not.
I was just also going to suggest that we definitely probably are going to have March meeting, because that will be some of the time that staff will be presenting some of our peer research in terms of thinking about, AOI or other types of alternatives in terms of future funding cycles.
Yeah, we're skipping that meeting over my dead body. Cool, so can I call for a motion to force us to do, like, we're committing ourselves that every member of this body will attend and be required to attend at least one panel funding.
Under penalty of excommunication.
Yes.
There we go.
Yes, they will, Sanctus in Domini Spiritus, and Nobis, no like you. Yeah, I think that would be really lovely.
I think it's a win.
I'll move for that.
So
Or-
just as a point of Robert Rule Brown Act stuff, it can't be an action item, but you can certainly put it on a future agenda or just say we're gonna do it.
Okay,
Just
we're,
in terms of
Oh,
We're gonna do it.
We're gonna do it.
administrative, organizational things.
yes, as an administrative, as a fate, as a, what, fiat from the chair. We're gonna do this.
Wow.
Hey,
So-
10 more days and then, it gets real interesting around here with the power. So might as well just embrace it. Cool, excellent. Thank you very much.
I think it's a great thing.
That is wonderful. Anything else before the committee for future agenda for future meetings? Nothing? Awesome. Well, thank you very much for your attendance today. And again, a happy new year to you all. And look forward to just really exciting times in 2025.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Just setting straight that one has